Hey guys, and welcome to this Christmas special guitar lesson where we're going to be taking the Christmas song, which is a track by Nat King Cole originally, and do it in the style of John Mayer. So we're going to be learning both the chords, which are epic, as well as the kind of lead part, which is basically the melody arranged for the guitar. Now, in a second, I'm going to be showing you this full arrangement, and I know you're going to love it. This is one of my favorite songs, and John Mayer is one of my favorite artists, so really, I loved putting this whole thing together for you guys. Now, I would highly recommend heading over to the website via the link in the description because you're going to be able to find the tab and download the tab, the full backing track so you can actually learn and play this along and then perform it at Christmas if you want to, as well as all the chord diagrams because you're going to need them because there's a lot of chords in this track. Okay, and the last thing, just before I show you the arrangement, is that if you do love John Mayer and you want to learn more about his style, then we have a totally free full player study over on the website, and we'll put a link for that below as well, so you can check that out. Now, without further ado, here's the track. Okay then guys, so let's kick off by just looking at the chords. Now, there's a lot of theory going on here, and I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail with that. I'll go through some of the basic concepts, but really the main priority here is just to learn these chords because it's crucial to know the chords that we're playing under when we do that melody part that you can hear in the video. So, first of all, it's based around the key of C major, okay? And our first part is this, so I'll play it first. So we go like this. So let's just get up to there. So that's the first couple of rounds. And basically what we're doing is we're playing a C major 7. Now I won't have time to go through all the chord shapes here. So bear in mind that if you want to see the actual boxes, the actual written out boxes of the chords, head on over to the website via the link below and you'll see them all there. Okay, but we're doing a C major 7, so that's the root of the key. Then we're going up to the second degree, so the D minor 7. Then another D minor 7, sorry, an E minor 7, same shape, you just move it up. Okay. If you know these chords in any other voicings, feel free to swap them around and use them elsewhere. And then back to the D minor 7. So we just got C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, D minor 7. That's the basic chords. Then in the next bit, we come back to the C major 7. Then we do a C9. So we're swapping out that major 7 for a dominant chord now, which is going to add a lot of pull going to the F, which is our next chord. Okay, so again, you could do a C7 there if you prefer, but I like the C9. Okay, C dominant 9 chord. Then moving over to the F major 7. Now the voicing I really like is this one here, which is essentially a C shape, C, F major, but just you flatten that first finger, okay? Okay, so again, just check out on the website the actual chord diagrams if you're unsure. There's a lot of chords in this track. So, there we go. We've gone from the C9 to the F major 7, okay? Then we're gonna jump to a B flat 13, okay? And again here, you could do a B7, B flat 7, but I like the B flat 13 because it serves a real good theoretical purpose here, okay? And again, if you're thinking, oh, well, how come we can jump to this from this F major 7, which is in the key, to a B flat dominant, which is way out of the key, and it's just simple kind of fifth movements, okay? Again, I don't want to get into too much detail here, but if you go from the F to the B flat, that kind of movement is just a really common way of kind of jumping through different keys, as it were. So you're kind of moving the harmony just in fifths, essentially. Okay? And that's a really cool thing that you can try. And you jump to the dominant chord, okay? So this is, I'm using my thumb for the B flat, and then I've got my first finger, second finger, and third finger on the 6th, 7th, and 8th frets, okay? And that will bring us to the next section. So let me just play that bit one more time. 2 and 1, and 2 and 1, and 2, and any rhythm is fine here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, nice and chilled. Then we're going to go to this section, which sounds like this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so more modulation, more movement. And that starts with an A minor 7. Now that works really nicely because we've got this B flat 13 first, which pulls us down to this A minor 7. Okay. Then we're going to go to a B flat 7 again, but this time just the dominant 7th. Okay, again, you can fret that however you want. Then a C major 7. Okay, kind of bringing us back into this key of C major. And then we're going to now do a big modulation because now we're going to go for the B dominant 7th. B dominant 7th, from the C major 7 to the B dominant 7th, which pulls us, as a result, so 5 to 1, to an E major 7. Then another modulation, where I'm going to do a B flat dominant 7th, to an E flat major 7, and then again modulating from there to the G7, which will bring us back nicely into C. So that section is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, E major 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7, G dominant 7. And now let's do the next bit. So the next bit is C major 7, and we go round again. Same as the start. Okay, so this is all the same as the first time round. F major 7, and then the B flat 13, then the same thing again here, A minor 7, B flat dominant, and then we're going to do this movement. And that's what we're going to be playing through. That's the bulk of the track. We're just not doing the bridge in this particular take on it. We're just doing that on loop, essentially. So that last bit, instead of doing the part where we do the E major 7, okay, we're going to do an E minor 7 to an A7 to a D minor 7 to a G7, and then that goes back to the C. Okay, so that has much more of a kind of a turnaround feel, I guess you'd call it. Essentially, again, just modulating in fifths, so going from the E to the A, and then a fifth to the D, to the G. So you're just working through the circle of fifths, and each time you modulate, use a dominant chord, as it were, to change that key. And that's really the basic theoretical idea behind this, but of course there's so much more going on. So let me just play through that whole thing as a section. We're not talking too much about, you know, what rhythmically we're doing. You can do any kind of groove you want, but for the purpose of this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of count the ones and the twos. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Such a cool progression. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and now we're going to do some modulation down to the major 7. 2, 3, 4, 1, and then G7, and we're back round to the C major 7. Such a good track. And then we're going to go through it again. So C major 7, then the C9, F major 7, and B flat 13, A minor 7, B flat dominant, C major 7, B dominant, and then let's call it this as a turnaround, the E, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then you start again. And there are the chords. So kind of once you kind of got those down, remember, check out the website if you just want to check any of those chord shapes and variations. You can try and play that along with the backing track, just to kind of get the feel of it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to check out the solo. Okay guys, so let's get started looking at this lead part. Now it's just simply the melody with some John Mayerism. So we're really going to play through this in a kind of soulful, bluesy way and add in a few cool licks. So I'm just going to go through it bit by bit. The one thing to mention, which you can't see on the camera, is that I'm using my fingers for the first round and then I bring in the plectrum for the second round. It just adds a little bit more dynamic and something I feel like John Mayer would do. So the first part is this. Okay, so let's just go through that. Now, we're fundamentally, remember, in the key of C major. So we're using our C major scales across the neck. I'm very much thinking in terms of the C major pentatonic scales to start with, and then I'm moving around from there. So I've got my kind of pentatonic box 5 here, 4, sorry, and 3 here, 2 back here, and 1 back here. So if you want to see those pentatonic boxes and those full scale shapes, head on over to the website where I've kind of drawn them out visually for you. Now, therefore, the notes that we're using, we're starting on the 10th fret on the D string, jumping up an octave to the 13th fret, okay? And then I'm going to do a little semitone slide from the 11 to 12. Then back to the 10, then a really cool little kind of bluesy slide across from an out note to an in note. So from the 13 back to the 12 and then come off to the 10. And then over to the 12, hit that 3 times as your melody note. Okay. Then a little kind of John Mayerism is this. So it's just a little flick in between, just something out of the melody just to add a little bit of extra character to it. And I'm just up in that pentatonic box 4. And I'm just going to grab a little, I'm going to grab the 12th and 13th fret on the G and the B string. And I'm going to hammer on, just like that. And then go from 12 to 14 and back on the D and the G string. So altogether, that lick is this. Okay. Now the next lick sounds as follows. Okay, I'll do that again. Okay, so let's just kind of go through that. Now, we're just doing the kind of melody part again. That's the most important bit here, of course. So again, following through that C major scale, C major pentatonic, we're going to go from 10 on the D string to 10 on the B string. And then I'm going to come down to this note here, okay, which is kind of just dropping down, but I'm going to semitone slide into it, like so. Then back to the 6. Then another semitone slide into the 5, and then another semitone slide from the 8 back to the 7. So all these little kind of grace notes make the sound. Then we're going to resolve on that 5th fret. Okay, so one more time. And we're kind of back in that familiar pentatonic box 1. And then we're going to go, so just a simple John Mayerism, let's call it, Well, I'm just going to flatten my first finger on the D and the G string, and then I'm going to just go back and forth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that will be the end of the bar. Okay. So that bit all together. I'll do that again, sorry. And there we have it. Okay, and now we move into the third bit. So the third bit goes like this. Okay, so kind of a nice pentatonic-y bit. So we're in that kind of box 3, moving into box 4. Okay, so we're going from 10 to 12 on the D string. Then we're going to do it again, and this time we're going to go hammer on, and then slide up to 14. Okay, and then 12, 14, and bend that 14 up a whole tone. Okay, one whole tone. Okay, so nice. I think there, you know, a John Mayer would choose to do the bend there to really eke out the most from that note. So that lick. Okay, and then we move into a lick that's very, very specific because we're very much coming out of the key. If you went through the chord section, then you'll remember that at this point we're going to go into the E major 7. So we're very much moving around a very, very specific chord progression. So we need to target notes from that. Okay, so this part sounds like this. Okay. And then, okay. So that first bit here, remember we've just done this bend, and now we're going to grab that 13th fret. So we're really, really now thinking, okay, E major 7, we're going to target a note directly out of the E major 7 chord, okay, because that's what we really need to do. Whenever you kind of move out of the fundamental key and you start modulating, you need to be a little bit smarter with your improvisation, with what you're playing. You need to now start kind of arpeggiating, going through the chords, until it kind of comes back to the basic key. So here, we hit that 13, and then we're kind of playing around here. So 13, 15, 13, slide from 11 to 12, back to the 10, and then hit that 12, okay? And by the time we're there on that 12, that's a G, and we're very much over that G dominant 7th chord. And then we finish that lick by a little run down through the C major scale. Okay, so 12, 10, 9, 12, and that C brings us back to the first chord of the track, back to the C major 7. Okay, so altogether, that first half goes like this. 2, 3. And two, three, everybody knows. And we're into the second half of the piece. So now we're going to come into the second half, and I'm going to bring the plectrum into play here to get a slightly more aggressive sound, okay? And remember, we've just finished doing this. Okay. And so our first lick at this point goes like this. Okay, so quite similar to the first one we did, but slightly different. So we're back in that C major, we're using that box 3 of the C major scale, or the C major pentatonic, and we're going to go from the 13th fret, then that little slide from the 11 to 12 down to the 10, and then I'm going to hit the slide from the 13 to the 12, more little grace note slides, back to the 9 this time, and then to 12. So that's that lick, and then we follow the same lick. So previously we did. which is exactly the same, so there's no change there. Equally, the next lick along is exactly the same. Exactly the same, okay? And then we do have a big difference, because then we come to the point within the chord progression where we're doing the, let's call it the turnaround. Okay, so that kind of turnaround section. So we just done this big bend, and then we're going to bring the bend down and go like this. Which kind of brings us to the end of it, and it's such a cool little sound, okay? So let's just go through that. So we're just kind of going through that major scale, still in that C major, and we're going to go 14, 12 on the G, then we're going to do 10 on the D and 10 on the B, and then we're going to come down to that kind of pentatonic box 1 vibe. Just do a little 8 on the B, 5 on the G string, okay? And then I'm going to slide over to the 9 on the G string, and then do this. So this is kind of a fiddly little thing, but something that's really, really cool. So we do slide over to the 9, and then we're going to kind of come back to the 7 before jumping up to the 8, back to the 7, and pull off to the 5, okay? And when you do it all in one foul swoop, it sounds like that. But if you do it really slow, and even slower, obviously that out note becomes harder and harder to hear and just adds a bit of character rather than sounding really out. Speed it up. You just got to get really quick at that kind of subtle little movement. And there we have it, guys. That's the whole solo. So let me just kind of take you through that one more time, nice and slowly, with a little bit of a count as we go through. So it's 1, 2, 3, 2, da, da, da. And then that targeted part. Then we bring the plectrum in for our little rundown. Here, same licks. Oh! And try not to miss the most beautiful note of the whole thing. There's the solo. Okay guys, so that's it from me. I really hope you've enjoyed the lesson. Please remember to head on over to the website to get the tab and the backing track and everything else you need to really master this track. And of course, please do like and subscribe and comment below if you've got any questions. I'll see you again soon.